The White House is on edge. Germany and Italy have officially demanded the return of nearly 2,000 tons of gold, worth around $245 billion, from the Federal Reserve Bank in New York. According to recent reports, every ounce of that gold is scheduled to leave the United States and head back to Europe within 2 months. The transfer will take place using NATO military aircraft, but this isn't just another financial move. Germany and Italy are signaling something much bigger. They no longer have confidence in America's ability to safeguard their gold. The reason? Rising tensions from Donald Trump's tariff war. Old alliances are weakening. More and more countries now see their ties with the United States not as an advantage, but as a liability. Germany and Italy are bracing for a scenario where the United States can no longer be relied on to anchor the global financial order. Something like this hasn't happened in almost 80 years. Since the end of World War II, the Federal Reserve's vaults have been seen as the safest place on Earth to store gold. But that era might be closing. If these gold reserves really leave American soil, it could shake the entire world economy. U.S. interest rates could rise, the dollar might lose value, and regular Americans could feel the impact in their everyday lives. And here's the scariest part. This might just be the start. If more countries follow Germany and Italy, the global monetary system could be on the brink of a major realignment. So why now? Why these two countries? And what part does Donald Trump play in all of this? Let's take a closer look. Many people believe American power comes from its money, technology, and natural assets. But its real strength lies in trust. That trust is buried deep beneath New York City, in the Federal Reserve Bank's gold vault. This vault holds over 6,300 tons of gold, mainly for foreign central banks and international organizations. That's more than 57,000 gold bars, valued at over $460 billion. But here's the catch. Most of that gold doesn't belong to the United States. More than 90 countries have stored their reserves there since World War II. It's not just about safety, it's about confidence. That confidence gave the United States massive financial and strategic influence. By becoming the world's trusted vault, the United States secured its place at the center of global finance, not just as a superpower, but as the guardian of global wealth. It benefits not only from its own holdings, but from managing gold that belongs to others. When nations store gold in New York, they're endorsing the U.S. financial system. These foreign assets quietly strengthen the dollar and improve liquidity in U.S. markets. Transfers between countries are instant. No gold needs to move, just numbers in a ledger at the Fed. This makes America the beating heart of global gold trading. It also gives it unique insight into the financial behavior of other countries. In short, the United States didn't just build power from within, it gained power because the world trusted it. This quiet guardianship has been a key pillar of America's soft power. But now, Germany and Italy have decided to take back 1,930 tons of their gold. The plan is to use NATO cargo aircraft, mostly IL-76s and C-17s, to fly out 50 to 60 tons per week. If the timeline holds, all of it will be back in Europe within 2 months. But the real concern isn't that these two nations are retrieving their gold. It's that they might be just the beginning. Behind closed doors, discussions are already taking place in France, the Netherlands, Austria, and Belgium. If economic tensions with the United States continue, these countries could also demand their gold back. They still have hundreds of tons sitting in New York, and while it's long been considered the safest place, that belief is now starting to, crumble. And these aren't empty threats. During a previous round of U.S. tariffs, France and the Netherlands already brought some of their gold home. Now that Trump is again pushing tariffs on European steel, cars, and farm goods, leaders across Europe are reassessing their trust in the United States. Gold, once a symbol of transatlantic partnership, is now a tool of protection, maybe even leverage. If Germany follows through, this will be the largest modern gold repatriation ever recorded. Germany owns 3,352 tons of gold, with more than 1,200 tons still held abroad. Italy has about 2,451 tons, with 700 tons stored outside its borders. Germany's last gold repatriation happened from 2013 to 2017, when 300 tons were quietly moved from Paris and New York to Frankfurt. But this time, it's different. This time, the backdrop is political. The gold is being returned during a period of rising friction, especially over trade, between Europe and the United States. Since Trump returned to office, he's hit Europe with sweeping tariffs. From cars to machinery to wine, Nearly every major export has come under pressure. It started with a 10% hike, but by June, Trump was already floating the idea of pushing those tariffs up to 50%. European industries were, honestly, furious. But this goes beyond economics. It's a matter of broken trust. European leaders are noticing a troubling pattern. Trump is ready to weaponize the U.S. economy, and even the dollar-based financial system, against those who don't align with his policies. Now, Europe is facing a tough question. If he can use trade to punish us, what's stopping him from using our gold reserves the same way? In Germany, lawmakers are asking why over 1,200 tons of their national gold are still held in the United States. Italian officials are sounding the alarm too, saying that storing gold in the U.S. is like giving your life savings to someone who might lock it up as soon as you disagree. And this isn't paranoia. Europe saw it happen when the United States froze Russia's reserves after the Ukraine war broke out. The world was stunned. Now even America's allies are wondering if they could be next. The pressure on Europe's central banks is rising fast. Citizens, businesses, and politicians are demanding control over the continent's most valuable financial asset. What's making things worse? Doubts about the Federal Reserve's independence. Once seen as politically neutral, the Fed might now come under Trump's influence. What if he delays gold shipments? What if he demands audits? Or worse, freezes EU assets? This isn't just speculation anymore. It's real politics. In Germany, the gold issue has become a hot-button debate. The far-right Alternative for Germany Party, or AfD, is calling for all the country's gold to come home. They argue that letting another country store your wealth is a weakness. Party leader Alice Weidel says it's about more than money. It's about dignity and public confidence. And many voters seem to agree, especially as relations with the United States continue to decline. Even Friedrich Merz, head of the traditionally pro-American Christian Democratic Union, is changing his tune. Once a strong supporter of transatlantic unity, he's now talking about Europe gaining financial independence. As the AfD gains ground and Trump issues more tariff threats, Merz is proposing to use Germany's gold reserves as a bargaining tool in trade talks. In other words, gold is no longer just a financial asset, it's becoming political leverage. But that's a dangerous game. If Merz follows through and demands the gold's return, the United States could strike back economically. If he backs down, he risks looking weak. Either way, the risks are huge. Italy finds itself in a similar, perhaps even shakier position. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has long supported bringing Italy's gold back home. Back in 2019, while still in opposition, she spoke out forcefully on the issue. But now that she's in power, things are, well, different. Trade tensions with Washington are heating up again. Steel and aluminum tariffs are being discussed, and Italy's fragile economy just can't afford a new round of U.S. pressure. Meloni now faces a tough decision. Should she stick to her promises, or stay silent and avoid confrontation? If she calls for the gold's return, it could lead to a serious clash with the U.S., but silence might be seen as betrayal by her base, as weakness in the face of American power. If Germany and Italy really follow through, the Federal Reserve will take a hit. The New York Fed stands to lose billions in foreign gold deposits. On paper, it's just a line-item shift, but in the real world, it's a red flag. Financial markets react to fear, not just facts. A large gold withdrawal could tighten U.S. money markets, disrupt short-term lending, and push borrowing costs higher. Yes, the Fed has tools like its repo facility to manage liquidity, but tools can't fix shaken confidence. Once the image of reliability cracks, investors start to panic and ask a very rational question. If even Germany and Italy don't trust the Fed, why should we? And it doesn't stop there. Gold repatriation could directly push up U.S. interest rates. Germany and Italy may need to sell about $18 billion in U.S. Treasury bonds to fund the transport and restructure reserves. That kind of sale could lower bond prices and drive yields higher. Even a modest bump in yields can have major effects. The U.S. government is already spending over $1 trillion per year just on interest payments. If rates tick up, that number balloons fast. The Congressional Budget Office estimates interest costs could reach $1.2 trillion by 2026, but if the gold exodus continues, that figure might arrive much sooner. And higher Treasury yields don't stop at Washington. They ripple through the economy. A 15 basis point rise could push up mortgage rates by 20 to 25 basis points. For someone with a $350,000 mortgage, that's around $30 more each month. Nationwide, that weakens housing demand and could slash new construction by 5 to 6% by 2026. What's unfolding here is more than a simple financial transaction. Two European nations could be triggering a chain reaction that costs the US billions and shakes global confidence in the dollar. It might seem like a quiet logistical move, but it's actually a direct challenge to America's status as the world's trusted financial vault. We could be entering a new kind of Cold War, only this time, the battlefield is economic and the weapons are gold, trust, and reserve policy. Because when trust fails, it's almost impossible to rebuild. If more nations follow Germany and Italy, we may witness the start of a global rebellion against dollar dominance. What began as the quiet relocation of gold could end up rewriting the rules of international finance. To keep track of how this story unfolds and what it means for American influence, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. See you in the next video.